turned the car on in the garage, and my fucking horn came through the Bluetooth.
Ask her. I heard Dean Blundell smokes crack. Was actually the first to smoke it with Rob Ford, I heard, too.
What's Dean got to do with it? Frankly, my dear, I don't give a Dean.
It's rated R for, restricted and for a little bit romantic.
What do we got?
What is that in the background?
What is that over there by the mic?
Is he making wallets? What is he doing?
What's he doing?
It looks like he's... Never mind.
What's he doing? What? Is he dead?
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Let's start right out. Hey, what happened?
Hi, everybody. Welcome. Nice to see you. Lachlan Cross, 95.7 Cruise FM, down underneath, under me, below me. I'm
That
on
sounds
top.
dirty.
Below both of us.
Yep. Underneath James DeFiore, blackballmedia.ca. He's here as
If
well.
we're going
James
there, I
DeFiore
would
on
be a
Twitter.
top.
Probably.
No.
Yeah, probably would. Anyway, nice to see everybody. Hi.
It's hot as balls there.
No, I just burped.
Okay.
It's only 12 degrees where I am right now, but it's nice.
It's only
sunny.
12. Yeah, it's like 18 degrees here too. You're in Killaloo. Locke, what's it like in Edmonton today? Other than miserable.
It seems nice. No, it's nice. No, we get. You know what? We get good winter or
Let's talk
good
about the
summers
weather.
here. We get good summers. Oh, what's wrong with Edmonton? It's 22 degrees right now. Suck on that.
It's way warmer.
Thanks, oil sands.
Yep. Way to go. Way to go. 0-4.
The Mordor of Canada, keeping hope alive.
Yeah.
Oh, we're over it. We're moving on. Fuck you, both of you.
Yeah. Anyway, welcome. My name is Dean. Thanks for joining us and hanging out with us. Some stuff that we got to do today. We'll recover the Ron MacLean thing here in just a little bit because the reaction to his apology was fucking hilarious to me. We'll get to that. We've also got some mental health stuff to talk about. A bunch of doctors are saying kids need to be back in school now. Enough's enough. After
This
a
is
year.
good because I'm a doctor.
Yeah.
And I am at the peak of my mental health.
Docklin.
Are you really? Docklin Crotch.
I came home today and did a little yoga.
Oh, did you? How you
Get
feeling?
rid of some angst. Yeah.
Good. But
feel
there's
good.
like
Feel nice
kids
and
are
namaste.
fucked now. I was reading a little story about how messed up kids are because of this whole thing, and it all comes back to their phones. So anyway, we'll get to that and we'll talk about it and deal with that today. Tavares, there's been a miracle with John Tavares. I'll get to that. That's amazing. I don't know if you saw the video, but we've got a Tavares miracle here on the day where the Leafs are playing again and they're up 3-1 against Montreal. And is there really any point of talking about it? Like, is there any point in discussing, the Leafs and the Habs? It's a foregone conclusion. The Habs lost to the Leafs, who had nobody. I mean, they just had, missing their captain and one of their other best players who they traded for at the deadline. No big deal. 4-0. It was like just a joke. And then I'm watching the game and I'm like, I wonder if the people in Edmonton are
also noticing that the refs are handing them the game. Yeah,
no, you keep saying that. Like, do you watch these games now, or are you like too busy?
I've been watching a lot of the games. I've been watching a lot of hockey this year. No. Again, we talked about this yesterday. I shake off losses. I'm able to walk away from the TV and not get. I've never been that invested in a team, and I think, and I was thinking about that the other day when somebody was asking me that. It was Bonzi. Bonzi's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, you know what? I've moved so much as a kid. Like, we bounced around from town to town. And then when I got into radio, not a lot of people know this, but in order to actually make it in radio, quite often you have to move around a lot. It also doesn't help if you keep getting fired. So you don't develop a real strong connection with the community. And I've been here. I have lived in Edmonton longer than I've lived anywhere in my life. I had never lived anywhere more than 6 years up until Edmonton. So we bounced around a lot when I was a kid, bounced around a lot at the front end of my radio career. I landed here in 2006 and I got fired 18 months into my first gig in Edmonton. And I went home and the first thing my wife said was, we're not fucking moving again. So you better figure out what you're going to do. Mm-hmm. So I had to make it work here in Edmonton. And so how are you going to become attached to something? Like the people that I feel bad for, right? They grew up here. They sat and watched hockey with their dad. They lived in the same market. I don't even
listen, you're looking into this and making it a really deep discussion. I was just from a perspective of how fucking bored must you guys become 7:30 every night now? Like,
no, I watch the games.
And
I
jealous,
watch the
like
other
a little bit. I know, but like part of you is like, you're not rooting for anything. Like James has had such a really very realistic perspective as to the Habs' chances, but James is probably still watching them with a little more interest, right? Like I doubt that James is going to watch a whole bunch of hockey after the Habs are out. He's probably just watching this for the collegial conversation that we can have maybe the next day on the program. Am I right?
Yeah,
probably
that's exactly right. To be honest, it's on, and I'm like this.
Yeah, whatever.
Still sucking. You know,
but like you, Locke, guys like you and people like you in Edmonton, you guys were looking forward to this, and I was just taking the temperature.
I was.
A little bit of a rectal temperature check.
I thought they would get past the Jets, and I had a feeling they'd have trouble with Toronto. That was my prediction, that Toronto would get past the Habs. And now it'll be very interesting to see how Toronto and the Jets fare against each other, because I think the Jets are going to surprise the Leafs, and they better not play the Jets like they're playing the Habs right now. We'll just leave it at that.
Let me play something for you, which should come as a surprise.
Are you going to play the fucking goal again?
No, I'm not going to play the goal again.
All right.
After what we saw in Game 1 of the Leafs Habs game,
blue? Why do I look blue right now?
I don't know.
Because the computer screen glow is glowing
on your face. Yeah, I guess so. Do you remember when John Tavares got hit with Corey Perry's knee in that incredibly dirty, not really, play, where it looked like he was dead, and then the Toronto Sun took some liberty with the headline. It was a big kerfuffle, and he was going to be out indefinitely. You remember that? Do you remember when, like, the John Tavares injury that shook the world to start the series? Do you guys remember that?
Yes. I remember that. Yeah, it was unfortunate
and disgusting. But you remember how intense that was, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Guess what? This is from this morning's practice. Guess who that is?
That doesn't mean he's skating anytime soon.
Guess who? Oh, hold it.
Does he know his
name?
That
is? Yeah, of course he knows his name. Johnny Fantastic.
Does he know his
name? He was like, "What's your name?" They said to him on the ice, "What's your name?" He's like, "Johnny Hockey." They're like, "Yeah, fuck, he's good."
I'm Batman. That's what he said.
This is from this morning, dude. So John Tavares is skating at Scotiabank Arena this morning, and this is like a week after that devastating-looking injury where Corey Perry hit him in the head and carried off, stretchered off, thumbs up, fucking, I'm a hero, don't worry about it, I'm going to be fine. Tried to get up and couldn't. He had a leg injury, a knee injury that he had after that because his legs were underneath him. He couldn't see, couldn't say. It was a fucking mess. He's back on the ice, and I can tell you through concussion protocol and after talking to some people close to Maple Leaf Sports Entertainment, they wouldn't have cleared him to skate for 20 minutes today if he had any concussion-related symptoms.
That's you know what? That's good news, because I feel bad for Tavares getting knocked out like that soon in the playoffs. I still think they'll be careful with him. Just because he's skating doesn't mean that that they're going to throw him in. I mean, it isn't 25 years ago.
I don't think they should play him. Obviously, I don't think he should play tonight. But I don't think he should play in this series. He could just end up like the new Pat LaFontaine. You know, where you don't take concussion seriously. We're supposed to be living in that era of taking concussion seriously, and it's not always symptoms based, right?
Yeah.
I don't know,
dude,
James.
He's
not wrong.
If he doesn't get cleared to play and skate like this today, if he had any concussion related symptoms, they take it so seriously And,
they
and I
don't
was
fuck around
looking at
anymore.
tweets from people saying, "Oh, like rush him back because they fucking don't care about the guy." John Tavares isn't an idiot. John Tavares is out there skating today because he could skate today, and he feels good enough, and he doesn't have any lingering issues. There are no symptoms. If he had one symptom from that concussion, the team physicians aren't going to allow him to put on skates and go out and jump around and skate and shoot the puck and do what he's got to do.
Not only that, Jamesy, I have a very strong feeling that they don't want negative press. Like they don't want the team doesn't want they're rushing him back press. Yeah. And there's cameras in there.
No, I get it. Yeah, no,
so
I think I don't disagree with anything either of you guys are saying, but I just
still out indefinitely, by the way.
Right. And I think he should be, but just because the nature of the, it's into 10 days or something. I thought it was in the regular season. I thought
when you put him on the indefinite IR, there's rules about when you can bring somebody back.
There are, but it's playoffs, so there are no rules. So out indefinitely just means, hey, he's on the shelf. We're not worrying about him right now. Yeah, it's a regular season thing, I believe.
There is rules in regular season. There might not be in the playoffs. You might be able to yank somebody off the IR without any warning, right? I don't know.
They'd obviously be stupid to do it this series, right? This series, they're not going to. I agree. That'd be ridiculous. But
yeah,
you'd think so.
He might not see the bench in the Winnipeg series either.
Oh, and here's the thing: is that there are so many people shitting their fucking pants over him. Actually, like the people that are more concerned. You know, the guy like the Leaf Forever fan that's got the Domi tattoo right here, or the Sundin tattoo on the calf, who know more than physicians that would actually work with the team that are like, guys, you're crazy to bring him back. What I saw was so bad, you can't bring him back like this. You can't bring. I haven't said
they're experts
anything about whether or not he's coming back to her. It was just great to see him, and if he's out there skating, I'm pretty sure you can actually draw a straight line from like, him being healthy enough to go out there and do that to the possibility of him returning. When? I don't know. If it was for a conference final, be fucking huge out here. Like it would be so big if he came back for the conference final, game one, depending on who they meet in the conference final. If they get through Winnipeg, I don't know if he comes back for Winnipeg. If he does, it's not going to for a while, but dude, I'm telling you, as I said before, Jamesy, like if he's well enough to actually lay skates up and go and shoot the puck around, because to go out there and you get nauseous. If you don't get nauseous, you're good. And apparently he felt, quote, according to Sheldon Keefe after the game, he felt really good, like no issues at all. So who knows? Love to see.
That's good. I'm happy for him as a person. That's great. That was a pretty horrific looking thing. But I read an article that was talking about how the way that his concussion happened, like, it was ironically, even though it looked horrific, better than that solid hit that where your head doesn't go anywhere. Because then they can figure out the severity by looking at your neck and your spine and stuff like that. Because that's that different kind of concussion than like a bone on bone sort of like situation where your head's against the boards,
Yeah, they've done a lot of research on concussions, right? And and they know a lot more about it, and a lot of conversation about that when your head snaps, right? It's not so much about the blunt force of the knee to the face as it is that whiplash thing does just as much damage, apparently, right?
Yeah, what they were looking for, the issue that most people have with that, and it was cool that they cleared him like right after. They said, hey, there's no structural issue with his vertebrae. There's no pinching. Nothing's cracked. Everything's good. Discs are all in place. Great. He had like my understanding and what they said was he had like a strained neck ligament, because there's a ligament that runs from like your the middle of your chest all the way to the back of your neck, and when it gets pulled back, it gets sprained like anything else that gets sprained, right? And I don't know if you saw his head go back and how fast his head went back.
Yeah.
And how fast it shot back at the same time. It's called a hyperextended neck, which didn't sound fucking good at all. And then when you consider the fact that he took that part of Corey Perry's shin pad, which those things are made like Kevlar, right? They're like cement. And he took it right off the head first. And the traumatic brain injuries that traditionally happen with that stuff, the fact that he is skating, and as much of a spiritual lift as it is for the team, the fact that he's skating after what happened to him is remarkable. Like the fact that there's no long-lasting damage is incredible. The fact that he's skating this week is like hard to believe.
The one thing about these injuries too that I find interesting is a lot of times you feel good, you come back, and then these guys take just a sort of a minor hit, right? And then they're welcome to McDougall land again, right? Yeah. Welcome to McDougall's. It doesn't take much to get them back to a state of seriousness with respect to the concussion protocol. I've seen that with a couple of Oilers this year where they got dummied, they leave, they're back 10 days later, then they take a minor hit and they're like,
they're up for like 3 months.
Cara. That was
that's the Lindros syndrome, right?
Yeah.
Basically.
Which one? Which Lindros?
Both of them. Yeah. Both of them are separated from concussions. I went to school with Eric Lindros for a year in high school. And
nice guy?
No, he was a piece of shit.
Oh, bad. Awful. Yeah, all right, good.
I was in grade 9 when he got signed by Quebec, and so we would bust his balls because I'd see him at the corner store beside my house, and he'd be driving around with a friend of mine's older brother, and he's like, and we'd yell at him like, "Go to Quebec! What the fuck? Why are you being such a dick?" Like, you know what I mean? And one time he was
love that.
One time he was on the baseball field because he played for the high school baseball team, and I played baseball as well. But I wasn't at this. But he came to the game came to the practice, and then a limo showed up, and this little guy came out with glasses and fucking put his briefcase down and ran up to the field and was like, Eric, get off the field. It's a violation of your contract. And he holds up this paper because it was the Quebec Nordique staff. I don't know who it was, but because they were like, you're our investment. You're sitting there playing sports when we're trying to deal you, like.
That's hilarious.
Yeah,
I love the guys that get injured from punching the coffee table while they're playing video games. That's what I love.
Yeah, those are great.
That was like Lion A. Remember Lion A couple of years ago? He's like, he can't play for like a month. Why? He's got carpal tunnel from playing fucking Fortnite. Like his video game habit was that intense. He would go on the road, and everywhere they would go, he would buy a new big screen TV just so he could play Fortnite. Yeah, seriously, fucking loved it.
I think video games as a grown man is like a pillar. If there's like 4 pillars, it's one of the pillars of Arrested Development.
I don't disagree. I never had video games.
I completely disagree.
I thank God I didn't have boys.
Oh,
yeah.
Because
that's all they do.
If I would have come home and watched a kid,
that's all they do.
I would have lost my shit.
It's all they do. It's not real life, which is funny to me. It makes me laugh, but at the same time, it's just not. I get it. Like I love it, but it's like a $12 billion a year industry. Like you can't ignore it. You're not going to say, "Oh, I'm glad I didn't waste my time." There's people making billions in that industry.
I still would have been an abusive father.
Lots of industries that traffic in addiction make billions and billions a year.
Yeah.
So, Jamesy, you weren't here yesterday when the Ron MacLean stuff happened, but you know what he said. We don't have to go over it. He made reference to shirtless picture BX had showed everybody earlier with him and Anthony Stewart and a couple other guys, and made reference to having guys having their tarps off and Kevin BX being positive, and everybody thought he was a homophobe, and they pinned him with homophobia and like AIDS jokes, said he hated gay people. It was just the fucking weirdest. And then anyway, he apologized yesterday and said no, and he explained himself. And before we actually get to it, this is the explanation that he gave out. And I want to cover some of the responses because it was fucking bizarre. The whole day yesterday was bizarre when it comes to Ron MacLean. First and foremost, I regret and apologize what happened last night early in the show. We had a fun moment featuring a photograph for a colleague, Anthony Stewart, enjoying a rum party. That photo, along with a few others, sat on the shelf of Kevin BX's set for the remainder of the night. Second intermission, Kevin quipped that he was the most positive person on our panel. I directed the viewers to that photo using tarp off, i.e. shirtless, to specify the picture of the rum bottle, and quipped, "You'll be testing positive or something. I meant the rum." I understand when others are within earshot, a two-way conversation, a potential for misunderstanding exists. If you only heard that last line in isolation, I completely understand that how misunderstanding occurred. I'm deeply sorry. The idea of language and intention. Hang on. of personal responsibility that I've seen in these concepts used as broad exoneration. It's not enough. I have a contract with you, the viewer, that in us you see yourself. I reached out to several guiding lights in the equity-seeking arena, my allies at the LGBTQ2S community, to my coworkers to receive their wisdom and continue to our joint effort to tend to the hearts of us all. I appreciate the power of the voices who spoke to me last night and this morning. It provides a sense of possibility. It's how change works. Ron, now, sorry, Locke, I know you read that yesterday, but today's a new day. Sportsnet.
No, I'm okay with it, and I think it was a good apology. I think it was well written, and I know James is losing his mind right now, but
yeah.
But it's the world we live in, man, and he had to do it.
Can you put it back
hang on.
up?
Yeah, I will. I will for a sec.
I want to show you.
Hang on. I will. Relax, dude. Relax. We'll get there.
Relaxed. Oh, I'm fucking relaxed.
But Sportsnet supported him. Put this out after he put the apology out that runs long history of being outspoken. Everybody's cool. They're moving on. Blah blah blah. Which is cool. I liked it. Common sense. I haven't seen a lot of employers employ
during the game, right? Like he didn't talk about it during the game.
I didn't. I got to tell you, I didn't watch
see it.
Yeah, so I highly doubt it.
It's the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. Okay, go ahead.
Well, really? This is why.
Watch. I'll show you why. Can you put the thing up?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so this is what he should have said. First and foremost, I regret for what happened last night. Early in the show, we had a fun moment featuring a photograph of our colleague, Anthony Stewart, enjoying a rum party. That photo, along with a few others, sat on the sef on Kevin Bieska's or whatever Bieska for the remainder of the night. In the second intermission, when Kevin quipped that he was the most positive person on our panel, I directed viewers to that photo using tarp off, i.e. shirtless, to specify the picture with the rum bottle, and quipped, "You'll be testing positive for something. I meant the rum." Okay, everybody, I'll see you tomorrow night. That's what it should have been. Because he didn't do anything wrong. And look at that groveling apology. Why spend, this is why we have woke culture, because of groveling apologies. He didn't mean anything. The context, he explained the context. So the reality, now you know what he meant. So what the fuck are you worrying about?
Is this last part here that you're talking about when you refer to
everything after I meant the rum is fucking PR optic fearing bullshit. All of it.
Well, hang on.
No.
Don't all clarifications have to come with a whole bunch of ball licking? Now,
no.
Like, isn't that kind of like as a company? No, I'm asking a legitimate question.
Yeah,
like if you're a company like Sportsnet, after you put out an apology or you clarify something, don't you have to lick an enormous amount of asshole just to actually go with the apology?
No, you know what?
Don't you
insurance.
have to garf an enormous amount of hammer just to fucking make this work? I think you do. I think we live in that age where garfing has to be part of the actual apology.
Hold on,
I don't mind this.
Hold on, take that thing down now, because
okay.
I think
there's a lot of garfing at the end.
Okay, but based on what Dean just said, I would like to unreservedly apologize to viewers of the Dean Blundell show. That's what it would be like. That's what Ron MacLean just did. He explained the whole thing after I bent the rum,
James,
and everything after that.
James,
we're placating the dummies. We're placating the dummies. That's what
I agree.
But Ron MacLean has a national audience. He's not Lachlan Cross.
You're making my case.
The locker room.
You're making my case. Because it's
he
moments
has a
like that.
National audience. He doesn't get to apologize like we do.
He did apologize when he should have just said regret, because
there was a misunderstanding.
Can we just accept that?
I agree.
Instead of bandying about who the validity of Ron's apology, can we just accept
it's like
the fact?
400 words? It's ridiculous.
I know. I listen. Fine. I think it's overkill, and I think it's it is unjust huffing of Twitter dick. That's what I think that one is. I think it's like a and I think the last part, the huffing that you're referring to, the virtue signaling, where he's like, I need to be an ally and I've reached out to the community and stuff like that, which great. If that's what he's done, good for him. I don't think he needed to do any of that stuff though. Like I think it's like you have to arm your apologies with a whole bunch of different things now that says, and I'm doing this work and I'm doing that work. Like the apology clearly isn't good enough. And here's the thing. I bet you that Sportsnet probably said to them in there about how much you love the LGBTQ community, right? And so he did.
But he has done quite a bit of work with that community. And I mean, if you watch his hometown hockey, I mean, it is
relevant. It's not relevant. Okay, listen. Okay, I'm not trying to be a dick about it, but it personifies and symbolizes. It's completely
might not be trying, but
it's emblematic of everything that's wrong.
I don't disagree with you, James. We're talking about whether or not Ron MacLean needed to go to the steps that he did in order to apologize.
No,
okay,
he didn't.
All right, I understand. I understand what you're saying. It was a lot, but I'm telling you, it needed to happen. That apology, I
think the first part needed to happen, dude. I think the first part needed to happen. I agree with James. He didn't have to continue. Like the idea of the language of intention and personal responsibility. I've seen those concepts used as broad exoneration. It's not enough. We have a contract with you, the viewer, that in us you see yourself.
That's fine.
You know, I've reached out to several guiding lights to see. Actually, that's kind of cool. Equity, like he'd like to figure out what he said was wrong. But if I go back to, and listen, I'm just putting this together now as we're talking about it. But if in his explanation, and we buy his explanation, and he means his explanation of, listen, I was talking about the rum, then there's really no need to go and talk to any of those people, right? Then we've all misunderstood it. And then...
Yes,
but he's
so
trying to make change.
Now what we've done?
What kind of change? He just told us he doesn't have to change because he was talking about the rum.
So listen,
change happened.
He wasn't discussing garfing.
We've deviated from reality, and now we're on this magical path of bullshit, and we're saying hi to people that don't exist on the magical path because we're not supposed to be on it, because that's not the context that he was talking about. The context he was talking about is over here, and he meant the rum. Oh, you meant the rum. All right, what's for dinner, baby? That's what this whole thing should be. And if we placate this, it will never go away. It will never go away.
James, great point.
James has a good point.
Let me sum all that up with like this.
But
like if I said to you,
apology was like this,
if I said
still would have happened.
If I said something to you, right? Oh, for sure it would have happened. If I said something to you that upset you, that you took personally, and it was sort of something open-ended, and you came up to me and say, hey, you know, Dean, I really was upset by something you said. And I said, hey, Locke, totally understand, but you got to understand something. What I was referring to had nothing to do with why you were offended. I was talking about something completely different.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you go, okay, no problem. And then normal people, that's what they do. A good explanation, they get it. They say, okay, my apologies. Maybe I was like, then it would make no sense for me to say to you, now, Lachlan, listen, I've thought a lot about what you said. I got to do a whole bunch of personal work, even though I didn't mean any of that.
Yes, that's it.
I got to do a whole bunch of personal work, and I got to talk to some people about why I offended you, because it really bothered me.
He's not dealing with human beings. Look at the backlash. Look at all I saw today was people mad that he didn't get fired.
Yeah,
like it's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
So the apology,
I am fine with.
So you know what? Some of my favorite. The groveling apology didn't work, is what you're saying.
Right.
Okay, nothing works though, James.
Right. So might as well stop at I meant the rum.
That's my thing. Why I'm at the point where it doesn't matter. Like, it's just, I said this to someone on the phone last night. I had a business meeting at like 9:00. I'm like, it's just Twitter. They're just people on Twitter. That's all it is. It's just fucking losers on Twitter. Why would I get bent out of shape? This is what someone said after Ron put his apology out. Let me read to you this one from Cam 333.
I see what he did there.
Apology not accepted. Until Ron is fired and or sent to prison.
Like, come on.
I'll be changing the channel during periods. I don't forgive anyone for remarks I misinterpret and apply my own meaning to. Even after context is provided, my feelings are set, and that's what matters most. So no forgiveness. He has to go to prison because this person's feelings are set. That's what we're dealing with on Twitter, kids. Here's another one. This is from Lori Gilbert. I don't know who she is. She likes cats. That's probably all she likes. This is what she says. This makes no sense and screams of trying to cover up the horror that happened. The
horror.
horror.
The fucking horror.
I don't accept this apology, and I hope CBC and Hockey Night in Canada proceed with disciplinary actions. Listen, Lori, Cat Lady, and Mac, Daddy, whatever, fuck you. You don't get to decide when someone's apology is good enough.
Oh, but they do.
Yeah, you don't.
They
do on Twitter, but it doesn't matter. Like,
no, but
you can say it doesn't, but it matters.
That's the demographic that you're talking about. The apology from the CBC or from Ron MacLean is to that audience. She's part of that core audience that believes in that shit. That's who they're catering to. The fucking cat lady. So why are we doing it, right? Like, we don't have to be doing it. Like, someone needs to take a stand or something.
Of course,
and stop this nonsense. This is crazy.
But that's what I was.
Wait. Imagine we found out the rum was Mount Gay. That would change everything.
Oh, I love that. I used to love that rum.
Right?
Mount Gay rum.
That would change everything. It really would.
Locke, I got a question for you. You've been on the radio for a long time. I was on the radio for a long time.
Also, I'm anti-apologize. Like, I don't do it.
Just the groveling
unless I have to, and there have been a couple of times where I've had to apologize because I went too far and I offended somebody. And I think I told the Dr. Bang story. Dr. Hinshaw.
Let me ask you a question. Do radio stations run their radio stations based on social media responses to their people and things that they say
and do? I think there's always a concern that if you overstep your bounds, that you're going to lose audience. And I don't know whether or not the social media, how much, because a lot of times what'll end up happening is something will get out there that somebody said on the radio or on TV, and they didn't even hear it. They're just feeding off of what is already. So you have to be careful about that. They may never have listened to your show. They may just be piling on because it's a fun thing to do.
Right,
so
but that's the
I'm
biggest
not sure
concern, right? The
social
biggest
media
concern that radio stations, I think, and media companies now have is the response from people, and people then taking that response and using it to craft a narrative about the brand that employs the person that did the thing that upset the people, right? That's kind of the chain reaction with how it works. And so which is like, I tweeted, hey, listen, Ron's going to be in a lot of shit for this. It was 2 days ago, the day it happened. And I'm shocked that Sportsnet, and not because it's Sportsnet, like I'm not one of those people that just hates certain companies just because I may have worked for them or whatever. I could care less who it is. But the fact that they actually said, hey, listen, that's our guy's apology. We've got a body of work that dictates we believe everything he just said. Yeah. We're dropping it. Yeah, we're dropping it. Because if you ignore it, it'll go away.
But they didn't ignore it. They made him write a 400-word apology.
You know what the funny part? The funny part is, for me,
ignore it after the apology.
And they didn't make him. I that's a wrong choice of words. I'm pretty sure he actually agreed to it. But yeah, James, sorry.
Well, the funny part to me is that it was, everything's predicated on Ron MacLean trying to execute an improvised literary device combining two things that happened right then on the show. So he's improving. He's literally but Ron MacLean, Ron MacLean has a different way of doing it. He's been like the poetic guy doing like literary devices that are pretty complex. He's like 18% rapper in those moments, right? Like, he really is. And I think that improvisational part of it should be included in how we ascertain his mistake. And the only mistake that he made was the words that he used confused people that refused now to know what he really meant. And that's the big sin.
I love all the people that were after the fact were like, you're lying. I can tell you don't mean that. You didn't mean what you said. Like, everybody's telling him what he actually meant, even though he actually explained it. It's like when you're in a relationship and you say, hey, sorry, and someone says, you didn't mean that. And you're like, I kind of did. Like,
I know he feels bad for it. I can tell. And I also know that if it
he
was,
I will say this: I watched part of it last night. Like I watched, I think like one segment between periods. He was much more demure than he has been.
Yeah,
There wasn't a lot of dicking around last night.
I noticed that as well.
Yeah.
Because he was chewing on him, and he was embarrassed, James. The thing is,
he meant the rum, guys.
I know how he feels, though. I know how you feel when you fuck up like that, and you start getting hammered. The thing about the complaints that we get in radio, and this is different, but it might be similar numbers. I am completely pulling a number out of my ass. I would be willing to bet that half the complaints, if not more, between 50 and 75% of the complaints I have gotten from things that I have said on the radio, and I get them fairly regularly, it is hearsay. Somebody heard me say something, went into the office and said, and tried to relay poorly what it was I was trying to say, missed the entire context of it, and somebody at the front desk got so mad, right? And she took a minute from reading her vegan cookbook and fucking wrote a letter to my program director. Right? And because we always look up these people on social media.
Whenever it's someone we are talking about a complainant, we always imagine they're vegan.
Some Green Party voter that votes green without protesting.
Yeah.
So they're basing their complaint on the story they heard from Jerry, who came in from Tim Hortons with a coffee and went, "You're not going to fucking believe what Lachlan said on Cruise this morning." Right. And then tells the story badly and pisses somebody off in the building. And then they write a complaint. And that happened. I bet you that's more than half of the complaints that we've had to deal with respect to my show.
Yeah, it's people complaining about something they thought they heard. That's have you noticed now on Twitter? I don't know if you guys have seen this little feature where you'll go to retweet something and Twitter will literally stop you and say, "Hold on. Have you actually read this yet, or are you retweeting this?" Have you seen any of these little warnings?
I haven't.
I see them all the time because I'm usually retweeting the person that says shit before the link. So I don't read them anyways. So,
same thing. Like if it's people in media that I trust and I know the story's good or they send it to me, I'll go ahead and retweet it without actually going in and reading the story. So Twitter now has an algorithm. Get this. This is fucking crazy. They know that if you have or have not read the story before you tweet it. So if you retweet it, it must be like a time period thing where it's a piece and you retweet it within a certain period of time after you click on the story. It'll literally pause you and another screen comes up that's like, "Hey, listen, we got a real problem here with assholes and dumb fuck monkeys out there retweeting things they shouldn't because they haven't read them yet. So are you sure you want to send this before you tweet it out? Like, just give it a second here. Maybe
I haven't had that yet. I have not.
Oh yeah,
seen
dude,
that.
it's fucking hilarious.
You know what it's for? It's for ad revenue, right? They want to know because they get paid.
I thought they were trying to combat stupidity. Yeah.
Well, but that will make them money because it's providing more clicks. Not just this, because they get the analytics that shows that like 80% of your traffic comes from Twitter. That feeds into the way that you place ads via Twitter, right?
Yeah.
So it's worth something to them. So it has a value that's intrinsic, right? So,
and yeah, I'm sure they wouldn't do it if it didn't make any money. Like, hey, we're just doing this to protect people. Oh, really? Thank you. It's about time. That'd be great. So we talked about it today a little bit off the top of the show. We're kind of at the tail end of the pandemic. I think here in Ontario, we're like 65% vaccinated with first shots, which is great. We're going to start second shots anytime. Don't know what Alberta. I know Manitoba's fucked beyond all possible.
We're over 50%. I know that for sure because we hit that mark on Friday. Yeah. And
okay.
Yeah. 50% of the population 12 plus.
Now, there are increasing, growing alarms for people with children. And today, the governor of Ontario said they're going to try to get schools open basically as quick as they can because they got a letter from 12 different organizations, everyone from the Canadian Pediatric Association of Ontario to Holland Bloorview Children's Hospital, Sick Kids Hospital, Kids First, Coalition for Children, like big swing and you know what's. And I want to read part of this to you and get your thoughts on it because We all have kids. We've all seen them not benefit from this like everybody else. He says, they said in this letter, and they wrote this to the actual province of Ontario, and it's made them decide to do something about kids not being in school ASAP. We'll get to what it might mean in just a second, but the letter says the impact of school closures resulting in social isolation on the health and well-being in children and youth has become impossible to ignore. Getting Ontario students back to the classroom with appropriate safety measures in place for the remainder of the school year and for summer learning must be a priority now. So we could be getting some school in the summer, kids. Prioritizing school reopening means putting necessary resources in place to safeguard classrooms, including public health, blah, blah, blah. We're witnessing a crisis in children's mental health as a dramatic increase in utilization of acute mental health services. A lot of people are calling different organizations asking for help. A lot of kids are seeking some help, which is great news. They're utilizing these tip lines, which is excellent news, and the Kids Help Phone and suicide hotline, which is incredible, and continue to do that, kids, if you've got a question or anything. But now that we're getting at the top of the bottom of this whole thing, they're saying, hey, listen, even though that we don't meet certain criteria when it comes to infections, can we please open up the schools? Love to get everybody's thoughts. We're all parents, right? And we've all been kind of dealing with it, but I have noticed a real issue with my kids, and I'd love everybody to kind of weigh in on it. James, you want to start?
Yeah, I mean,
how old are your kids, James?
Well, yeah, I was just going to say I probably have the worst scenario because my kids are junior kindergarten and grade 1. So, and both of them have laptops now somehow. And they need them because of school.
Somehow.
Right? So they're so I don't know
probably
if
better than your laptops too.
Well, Lachlan, like when nowadays, because like I grew up with cassette tapes and shit. I'm from the 90s, but nowadays, like I guess tablets are the way that kids like to watch things. But like the screen time of a child is not supposed to be this big. And we're putting in my case, 4-year-old and a 6-year-old in front of a laptop screen for 3 hours each a day, roughly. And then if they want to watch the shows they normally watch, why am I going to punish them by letting them watch which is not a ton, but it's enough to like now. So the screen time virtually doubles or triples in our case. Right. And it's like, you know, the behavioral kind of issues that arise from that, I believe anyways, born out of this frustration and this boredom and this like, you know, resentment of school. Like, you know, it's my son especially is now recently just developing a complete, he's like, I hate school. I just hate school, Dad. And I'm like, you're only 6. Shit, didn't happen to me until I was at least 8. And but anyways, the point is that it's unnatural. I think like, you know, it's not good for the way that they socialize because they don't have any. There's no good aspects about learning online when you're that young. There's no positive. In fact, I think it's probably damaging, you know.
I don't know. Dean, I don't know what the answer is. I've given up trying to speculate on whether or not we should have been sending kids, taking them online, or I mean,
it's been a fight, right? It's been a fight with like, you know, all those people that think we're murdering our kids by letting them wear masks and getting them vaccinated. So you've kind of ignored part of that.
Well, but I also don't know if we did all the things right. I think we need to go back and take a look at how things were handled province to province. Did we close at the right time? Should we have shut our borders down? I think there's a bigger conversation in that regard. And then when you start to like work your way down to things like schools, and should schools have been shut down, or should they have just done a better job of ventilation? And I mean, that I've got 2 older girls, and I thank God that I didn't have to go through the whole trying to keep them home and keep them engaged with their studies, you know, with a laptop or, you know, an iPad or whatever. But my oldest had to do courses. She's in film school in Ryerson, and she's closing in on the end of her schooling, and she had to come home and do courses online because of the pandemic, and she hated it. She's a very social person. She loved school. She loved going to class, and she really missed that part of it. But we didn't see, you know, any anxiety or social issues. But she's also 23, so she's taken up drinking like her father. Like a,
Oh, is she on the sauce? She likes the pints too?
But no, she doesn't
Now you
drink
got
beer.
someone to drink
More
with.
into the hard liquor. Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, it's great. So she gets ripped on gin, and Dad gets into the Budweiser, and we solve all the world's problems. And then we play crib and yell at each other. I mean, that I had issues with my daughter, my youngest, who is a very, very high functioning athlete. And when she was younger, had major tantrums, like young, and then she's just off the charts. Smart is what I think it was. And then when she got into school, had troubles adjusting. We had social anxiety, has zero problem getting up and dancing in front of people or doing anything like that. No problems. But then just going to school caused major anxiety issues. So we've been dealing with that through her life. And I remember I said to my wife, I said, you know what? Because I did the morning routine. I said, this is it. I'm taking her to school. I don't care how she feels tomorrow, because her anxiety manifested itself into throwing up and stomach aches and things like that. It was pretty severe in the mornings. She didn't want to go to school. And I just grabbed her and I'm like, you're going. Carried her to the car. She'd throw up on my car. I'd walk her. And I had to deal with the principal, where the principal would come out to the parking lot and he would. And once she got to school, she was fine. It was the idea of going to school that caused the issues. And I've heard from people afterwards, after the fact, that was probably the right thing to do, because mom didn't know what to. Mom was like handcuffed, right? She was just paralyzed by the whole thing. Whereas I just picked her up, threw her in the car. Like, we're going to fucking school. Where's your lunch? Get your books.
Time to
That's what kids do.
That's what they say to do when you drop your dog off at the kennel too. By the way, you're supposed to just leave him there and just turn around and not listen to him cry. Just let him go. Just drop him off.
That's more for the owners.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we did the right thing, and God help me, I don't know how parents are dealing with trying to work at home and dealing with kids.
Oh, dude, nightmare! It's like you think about the digital age that we're in, and how we've all been trained by these phones to now just be doom scrollers, right? That's kind of what we do. We all just sit and scroll, and then we feel worse and worse and worse because we live comparatively. But kids weren't wired for this. Like I believe it was in 2019, if I'm not mistaken, the average time a kid spent on a device a day, believe it or not, was 4.5 hours a day. That was in 2019. Kids are on devices in 2021 for 8 hours a day.
That's the parents. That's fucking stupid.
8 hours a day.
I bet you I'm in front of screens 8 hours a day.
Dude, it was 7 hours a day for kids between 8 and 12, and kids between 13 and 18. 8 hours a day. Kids are on their phones collectively, whether it was school.
It's literally their job.
This is my point. I know it's their job, but that's why I think that you're seeing the kind of illness that you're seeing, and you're seeing this spike in kids that are anxious and kids that are stressed and kids that are worried, because everything is literally in their hands, and none of it is real, right? Like, you can handle life when you're interacting with people at school, but if you've got school on your phone, that leads to hanging out with people on your phone, that leads to conversations with people on your phone, that leads to you checking email on your phone. That's all day. That's from the second you wake up. And these kids are like fucking 13 years old. 13 years old. They haven't been in school for a whole year. So, like, you think about how fucked we are because we spend three hours a day on our screens, or 2 hours a day. I think, at one point, my screen time, no word of a lie, was like 16 hours a day because of what we were doing and because of the nature of our job. And that was like easily the most frenetic, unhappy I was. So can you imagine doing that all day and then hating the stuff that you're doing in the middle because you got to do it? It's all school. Everybody fucking hates school. Kids can't stand school. School sucks. School's the worst. But if they don't open these schools up soon, and I can see them from kind of the conversations that I've had with people, specifically in the province of Ontario, and I think they should do it, is I can see them extending the school year into the summer a little bit so kids can get a little bit out of it. Recharge their batteries, go to school, check out the girls can check out the guys, you can throw a fart bomb in the bathroom, you know what I mean, you can maybe even flood the odd toilet or take over the school announcements. But kids have to get out and do some crazy shit, and they got to be with each other. They have to.
I don't think a lot of, well, I don't know. It will probably be split down the middle maybe, but as a parent of 2 kids in grade school, I don't want them in summer school. I want them to just get away from school for a while. I just want, they can still socialize. We have cousins and stuff and people are getting vaccinated, right? So it's fine. But like, you know, I don't think summer school after everything else is a good idea. I think socializing is good, but yeah, I would not be.
I understand what Dean's saying, but I think kids can actually get out and do social things now as things ease up, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a school thing. I wouldn't extend school.
Yeah, but dude, you're talking about messing with, like, you know, as creatures of habit, right? We create our lives through the habits that we keep during the week. And when you're a kid, you know, for 10 months of the year, the only habits you're creating are like the ones that you know in school, right? So you take those away instantly a year ago and you're 15 months into this. Like, there's no fun not having guidelines for your life. So kids are really suffering. Just like parents are really suffering, watching their kids really suffer, but kids are really suffering because they got to be in school, right? They need to have that learning or that interaction, even if it's not the learning. They, you know, like I was talking to my son, he's 15 and he's going to go out for the volleyball team, the basketball team. He's going to go out for the football team. He wants to go and do it all. And if you asked him like last semester, or last year, hey dude, you want to do these things? He'd be like, no. But now he's like so grateful for the opportunity to actually get back to class and do all that stuff. He wants to do it. So I think it's going to give birth to some pretty grateful kids and kids that are probably going to get back to school and be a little bit happier and healthier and, you know, have a bigger appreciation for what they were doing. But at the same time, you know, the cost is real. It's been very real for us. And not something we talk about. As you pointed out, my youngest guy is really been, you know, the butt end of this stuff. My middle guy, same thing. We've had to go get professional help. I've had to stay close to them. We've had to have open lines of communication and conversations about dark thoughts. We've had to live in the reality that this is just a moment in time. This is time and space. It will pass. But we got to make the best of it.
And you know what? Like, I think you sort of touched on something. I mean, not to overshadow the discussion that needs to happen about the kids that are really suffering right now. And you mentioned, get some help if you need it. It's okay to not be okay, but it might actually benefit a lot of kids as well. Like your youngest seems to be all excited about school again, right? And the possibility of going back after a crazy 15 months or 16 months, 17 months. So maybe he has a new appreciation and excels at school when they go back in the fall, right? And that's probably a good thing, right?
Maybe he likes school.
Maybe he'll like school now. Yeah.
I'll be the one telling him it sucks. I had one of his friends over at our house the other day, and he was talking about God. His kid was like, because they go to Catholic school, and I'm ardently.
What did you tell him, Dean?
God doesn't exist.
Yeah, good.
Then I got a phone call from the mom. I forget about that kind of stuff, though.
What's she mad at? Jesus would prevail if he was the true king, right?
Well, she's Catholic.
Yeah, staunchly.
We could write down a couple of things she might have been upset with.
So, I wanted to ask you guys this question: is that advisable? Like,
no, because it's not. He's not your kid. You shouldn't be telling him that the basis of the structure of everything that he knows is all based on a lie. Probably not your place.
I disagree.
I'll say that.
I disagree, Dean. Not only should you have said that, but you should have explained to him exactly how ridiculous and how you have to be indoctrinated when you're a child, and then ask him if he believes in Santa. See what he says, right? And go in that direction. I think.
Well, I see. And I don't even like
what point in the night did you teach him how to make fucking meth in the kitchen sink with bleach?
Why, for telling him the truth? Are you saying that because both positions embrace science? Is that the point you're trying to make?
Well, so here's the thing, right? Like I'm of the firm opinion, and I think Lachlan and I are very similar in this regard. I think James is too. None of us really believe in a higher power in as far as it's been explained to us by other people. So sometimes like organized religion and that kind of stuff, like I just don't believe that there is a specific organization where if I commit myself to it, if I follow it and I give it 10% of everything I make every day, all the time, and I stay away from something they call sin, right? If I stay away from it, then I'll go to heaven. And that's the one group. And I was doing some research, and I was thinking about it the other day, and I noticed that there are 2 million religions on this planet.
Is there
2
that
million.
many?
Yeah.
Wow.
And
Really?
And this young man, nice young man that was in my house, he believes in, one of them, right? Catholicism.
It's the right one. It's the right one, right?
Yeah, this is a Ricky Gervais bit, everybody, but go ahead.
No, Ricky Gervais was the one who said this, and I loved it because he was talking about it in terms of like how many forms of Christianity there were, right? I think there's like 30 or 40,000 versions of Christianity.
What?
And on Colbert, yeah, just Christianity.
No,
on Colbert, he explained it so well. He's like, you believe Stephen Colbert believes in Catholicism, so out of 40,000 Catholic or Christian religions, Ricky Gervais only believes in one less than Stephen Colbert. Like Stephen Colbert only believes in one of them. So out of all those 2 million religions, and I said this to him, this young man, I'm like, how do you know? How do you know that yours is the right one? And he goes, just because my mom said.
Why would you do this, Dean?
Then I said,
so how long were you on the phone with the mom? Be honest.
Well, hang on, I'm not done. So then I go, well, see, I said, this is where we use critical thinking here, right? In the house. This is where we use a little critical thinking from time to time. Now, if there's 2 million religions and you believe in just, the one, and I don't believe in any, you and I are pretty similar. Like we're not that far, right? Like you believe in all those, I believe in, and I said on top of it, of all those 2 million religions, and you've got, the chances of you nailing the one, like your parents nailing the one religion that sees you guys in heaven at the end of this life, chances are probably 0. Like I got to tell you, it's like 1 in 2 million.
So you told him he's not going to heaven either. That's
awesome. I didn't know it at the time. Like I didn't feel.
It's a pity there's no hell for you to go to, Dean. Okay?
Yeah.
What'd you cook them for dinner? Pig?
No, dumplings and Southwest salad, I believe. Yeah.
You slaughter a goat in front of the kids?
No. But my point is, we have this conversation. The conversation's over. At the end of the conversation, they all leave. It dawns on me 2 hours later as I'm sitting on the couch. Maybe you shouldn't have. Maybe you shouldn't have said any of that stuff.
Yeah, really?
Kid, maybe you shouldn't have said anything like about God not being real to that child that thinks God's real, right?
How old's the kid?
15, 14, something like that.
He'll be fine.
So then my phone rings. Then we had the conversation, and then I'm like, I'm real sorry, totally sorry. You're totally right. But I feel like we should be having those conversations.
No.
Yes.
No.
I do.
No.
But then on the other hand, so this is the mess in my mind. It is hypocritical because I don't like it when they come to my door and start telling me what to believe.
You shouldn't be telling that kid how he needs to believe or his family needs to believe.
That's it.
You're wrong.
That's not what happened.
He overstepped his boundary.
But
I should have just shut up and allowed him to.
Didn't you just share your opinion?
I shared my opinion, but it was with a pretty malleable brain.
Good.
You know what I mean?
That's why he believes in God, because his brain's malleable, right? Like my kids 6 and 4 again, and they already hear daddy say things like, listen, just because there's no God doesn't mean life isn't great. Like, and stuff like that. Like I just slip it in there here and there as I walk by them and stuff, because if they want to believe in God, that's fine. Once they get out of the house and they're on their own, then they can go believe in God, but I will not have God under my roof. Right.
Yeah.
Like I don't want it there. I really don't. Hopefully I don't push them into the waiting arms of Islam.
Have you ever said to your children, the religion is the plague of all mankind?
Probably. My son quotes Jesus, but from the Simpsons Jesus, not actually from Jesus. Right?
Wow.
So my son's like, did you know that Jimi Hendrix had to play guitar? And I'm like, actually, I saw that episode and Jimi Hendrix was teaching Jesus how to play guitar. So yeah.
Other way around, son.
That's right.
I got an email. This is from Brenton, our boy Brenton. I was on tour with the country band once. They're all Mennonite farmers from the prairies who heard me playing Slayer one day in my office. They confronted me in my office to save me. I'm assuming his soul. He asked the country kids the same question, Dean. How is your religion the best? After an hour, I still didn't have an answer from him, but one of the guys was a total dog on the road, so I guess he's out. Oh no, and then your boy, Positive Mike, he's like, they're all cults. I really do feel that way too.
I really do
feel like every
Positive
religion
Mike.
is a cult. Like I
have respect for people who have spirituality and they believe in something, and a lot of people need to believe,
and they keep it to themselves,
and they go about their lives. I have a ton of respect for that. I think people need things to believe in. I have my belief structures. My kids have theirs. That kid's mom has hers. I think people need it. The problem is religion creates so much dysfunction in our world and so much hypocrisy and so much judgment that it's hard for me as somebody who is, I think I'm, what am I? Am I agnostic, James?
No, I'd say you're atheist.
I'm not atheist, because the atheist believes in nothing. I think it's agnostic that believes in like
something,
has a spiritual,
but you're not douchey enough. Like I say I'm agnostic in terms of that, because I'm not enough of a douchebag to say, oh, this is what God is and everyone else is wrong. So I believe it's something. I just don't know what it is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, I've said it before, but agnostic people are just atheists without testicles, right? That's all that is. And the reason why is because there's no evidence.
Do I need to show my balls?
Yes. There's no evidence that there is a God. Like there's no evidence like there's unicorns. Guys, this is
I totally believe in unicorns.
But this is a relic from our infancy when we couldn't explain what the stars were. We didn't know that germs existed, and we created gods out of the stars. Essentially, is really what happened, and then the sun and stuff. And that's how we explained like stars and the sun and the moon. That's all that is. And we kept it around, and there's no evidence for it. So we force ourselves to. It's so fucked up to me, because we force ourselves to go, shouldn't you just give them the choice what to believe in? Which to me sounds like, shouldn't you give them the choice to believe in something that's fucking stupid? Right. And it's like, I don't know. Why would I give them that choice? Why does that choice exist? And that whole old internet meme, which I really like, is like, if atheism is a religion, then off is a TV channel. Because it's not like you don't believe in nothing. It's just that you don't entertain that part of a God. You know, like,
well, it's even different. Like, you know, I think people get caught up with the ability to not critically think, which I go back to too much. But people are caught up in religion and God being the same thing, and they're very different, right? You know, if you do believe in God and you're not douchey enough to tell everybody what kind of God it is, that's one thing. That's great, good for you. I would never say that he does or doesn't exist. I would lean towards the not existing. But, you know, I don't like being that person that goes out and runs around and tells people it's 100% not true, which is why that conversation with this kid bothered me. But it brings me back to these other conversations that we have. And you see people from that whole, you know, anti-mask conspiracy movement that are getting in people's faces. And that has everything to do with their religion. But they're not talking about their religion. They're talking about what their religion is telling them to yell at people about, how intrusive it is. Because how people show up to your fucking door, all that kind of stuff.
Because they may be aware of the hypocrisy and they feel guilty about it.
Yeah, that is true.
So they avoid having the conversation about the religion that sent them there in the first place. And it's all they have.
Right.
So they're fucking hanging on.
Do you know what's really helping is all this UFO news?
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah, They don't mention, how mad the Christians are that
they're twisting.
They don't mention aliens in the Bible, son. Why do you think that is? The Bible's a fucking comic book from the ancient times. It's all good.
And they're so mad about it. They're so mad that UFOs are showing up. Like the born again Christians are like, "Fuck!"
Did you see? Did you see the latest news, Dean?
UFOs are here. That means the gig's up.
Yeah, that's right.
The pivot. Can we pivot here? Yeah, so that video, the one from the submarine. Where they got him in the crosshairs, and the thing's floating around, and then it goes bloop in the water.
Yep.
Right. That video, and and the sort of the documentation revolving around that video. There was an interview with somebody that that has seen some of the shit that's coming out, and they were talking about the fact that the Navy has a bunch of documentation of UFOs flying, like doing hundreds of knots underwater.
Yep.
And I don't know if they have video of it or not. But
serious?
Yes, this is the latest thing to come out in the last couple of days was that one that went loop into the water. I guess there's also
that's right. U.S. Leaked U.S. Navy video shows UFO flying in California, suddenly diving underwater. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one that everyone's been posting
the
and talking
video.
about.
It's the Tic Tac video you're talking about.
The Tic Tac video, the one the one from the pilot that was shot from the plane or whatever, shows it like, and it looks like who knows how many feet, but you can see it under the water as it goes for a brief moment. And that's crazy. God, I hope there's aliens. Aliens will turn us into atheists. The whole planet.
So here's a question, because we had this discussion this morning on the locker room.
It'll be a holiday. It'll be a national holiday. When we finally reach the age of no religion, that'll be like a week-long festival. It's gonna be awesome.
Because that's what that means, Locke.
Yeah,
because
it'll go away. Religion will go away, James.
All the Jesus freaks, religious people.
Right.
You know what they'll do? Dude. Born again Christianity and super hyper religious weirdos that believe the Bible is totally 100% accurate, like Noah's Ark totally happened, those kinds of people, they're taught from fucking Jesus Jump Street to believe that UFOs and aliens don't exist. So the fact that they probably do, if they ever showed up, and the more that these videos come out, the Schadenfreude is orgasmic. They're going to be shocked. Every single born-again Christian is going to go like this.
Dean,
No.
You guys knew? Are you guys new? Honestly. You honestly think that they've been hanging onto a story about a guy in a robe with a big fucking beard in the sky? They've been hanging onto it for this long? They're just going to let it go if somebody wheels out a UFO?
Yeah,
they won't let it go. They'll dig in and they'll fight. But will they be embarrassed deep down?
A lot of cafeteria Catholics will just be like, "Well, that's it. I'm out of here." Like, you know what I mean? Like, the aliens.
Jews that'll do the same thing.
The aliens just told me the Earth is actually billions of years old. So now the whole story falls apart like a house of cards, based on altar boy confessions.
So here's the discussion we had this morning. Jesus. So here's the discussion we had this morning about June 6th when all this shit comes out. Grant was saying he doesn't think anything's going to change, and there is a lot of people that think that there's going to be this sort of line in the sand time-wise where there was this, we were actively denying the existence of UFOs to this point in our history, and then now, boom, June 6th, moving forward, they exist, and there's going to be that sort of line in the sand time-wise. Yeah. And he's like, he doesn't think that there's going to be anything that comes out from the Pentagon on June 6th that's going to be significant. I think they're going to be wheeling out UFOs and body parts and stuff. I think it's going to be like that. I think what's happening on June 6th next week is going to be huge.
Like they're just going to wheel out a flea market full of shit that has landed on planet Earth over the past 100 years. And here's
or at least documentation that they've tried to reverse engineer things. That I think there's going to be a lot because they're being told.
Tech. I want to see tech.
Yes.
Wouldn't that confirm it for everybody if we were all, and I'm thinking very back brain here, but wouldn't it confirm it for everybody who was a naysayer or someone who didn't believe or someone who was on the fence, is if they brought out like some kind of laser gun or like some type of ship or something, or like, a half prosected body of a dude, an alien dude or an alien baby that showed up with his alien parents and got lost, and hasn't aged, and he shoots fire out of his dick, like
alien suit.
Okay, I'll tell you what's gonna happen on June 6th. On June 6th, they're gonna release what they sort of already told us, which is that there have been a lot of sightings of aerial phenomenon. And they're not going to say Roswell was real. They're not going to talk about tech. They're not going to talk about anything like that. They're not going to wheel out cadavers of aliens or anything. They're not going to admit to any of that, because doing so still to them would be a national security risk, especially the tech one. They don't want the Chinese and Russians to know that they have alien tech. Are you kidding? That would be the biggest disaster ever. So they're just going to say that these things exist. And then they're going to try to probably distract by talking about the debate on whether or not what we're seeing is tech from another country, and we'd have no idea if they're just like super advanced for some reason because they discovered propulsion systems accidentally or something, right? So I don't think they're going to take a stance on the existence of alien beings, because that would just be stupid. And
I want a spaceship, a space suit. I want bodies.
Yeah,
and I want laser guns. I want all of it.
And I want to know, like, if they've been here a long time and they've been kind of dicking around and stuff, I want to put them to work. Like, if they've got some special abilities, I wouldn't mind seeing what those are. I wouldn't mind taking those for a test drive. Like, can they do stuff that we can't do, right? Like, can they cure, like, the odd ache or pain? Do they have a cancer finger, where if they insert the finger into the anus of someone with cancer, it cures the cancer whole body? Cancer finger guy.
I heard Ron MacLean signed up for that.
That I want to know that. I just fucking hope they're friendly, dude. Like, all the things that I've seen and I'm such a realist that I have to force myself to go, it's okay, Dean. You're allowed to maybe possibly believe in another life form without walking around thinking that everybody looks at you like you're fucking insane.
I don't care.
You're allowed to do that.
I totally believe in it.
Well, I know you're allowed to. I know you don't care, but
I don't care what people think of me. I fucking believe in it, and I'm waiting. I can't wait for January 6th. I can't wait.
I don't
It's
think
gonna be like a flea market for the alien heads.
I don't think. I wish it was. That'd be fucking
awesome.
Great, wouldn't it?
If that alien cancer finger, if that alien cancer finger existed like 3 days ago, Ron MacLean would have volunteered for that as part of his overall apology.
That's right. And everybody, I'll be the first to get the alien cancer finger.
Yes.
Why does it always have to go in your bum? That's my problem.
Even though I meant the rum, I understand that you thought
I meant the rum.
I meant the bum. I did. I meant the bum. Like that. Like that's
great. Back to Ron. Good for him for apologizing, and we'll wrap it up here in a second. But couldn't that have just been his tweet?
I meant the rum. Yes. Yes, it could have. In fact, that has a better chance of changing.
Yeah, that would have really eased tensions.
I meant the rum. Imagine he accidentally did a typo and he said, I meant the bum. Then his whole career would just be shot.
Guys, I wasn't referring to the mouth. Yeah. Well, I'm happy that we've managed to avert tragedy in Ron MacLean's life. I will tell you this, though. I meant what I said earlier. If you watched him last night, he was demure.
He was rattled, man. Like,
glad he's okay.
He'll be fine. This will blow over, and then once a week or once a month, we'll see his name trend, and people will be pissed off he didn't defend Don or something.
Well, actually, I was just about to say that. Is like I think a lot of it is because he was so kind of like throw Don Cherry under the bus that maybe
he did not throw Don Cherry under the bus.
Just relax.
No, he did
Sparky.
not.
Okay, but anyways, so I think he sort of did, because I don't think he. I think that. He had to do the groveling apology because of the groveling virtue signaling that he did in the Don Cherry situation. That's what I think.
I did not see what he did as virtue signaling at all.
I do.
He just apologized when they asked him to apologize, and he said, and Don didn't. And then he kept his job.
But that's Don's business.
Exactly. So why are we talking about it?
So why? Okay, let me paint a picture for
you.
Let's say the three of us are on a show together. Doesn't even matter. Television, radio, satellite, doesn't matter. Okay.
We are on a show together. Hello.
Exactly. That's why I'm painting this picture.
Internet.
Okay. We're going to have to definitely think outside of the box, because pretty much anything we say is not going to get us fired on this thing. But let's say we work for a big corporation, a multi-million-dollar corporation, and I say something horrible on our show that gets me in trouble.
Yeah.
I get fired. If you two assholes don't quit, I'm not going to be angry at you because it's something that I said.
Who said he had to quit? That's not my argument. I'm not saying he had to quit.
What are you saying? Why are you mad at Ron?
Are you talking about Ron MacLean or are you talking about Don Cherry?
I'm talking about Ron MacLean.
Who said that Ron MacLean had to quit? I
thought you were.
No, you said you made.
I thought the statement that he made. I thought the statement that he made in the post-Cherry comment was a little exactly what he did yesterday. I thought it was a little too much. It was like, lay it on a little bit thicker. Why don't you? Like
what I believe you did there, James. What I believe you did say, which led Lachlan down the garden path. What you did say was he threw Don Cherry under the bus.
I thought the seriousness of the tone was overdone, mostly because I didn't think Don Cherry meant racism. I thought he's just
he didn't.
Right.
And Don should not have been fired for what he said.
Then what are we arguing about?
That's not the point, though. The point is that why is everybody blaming Ron for it?
I just don't. I think Ron. Honestly, I would have been like this. Well, he didn't actually mean racism. And I regret that it happened. He regret that it happened, but I think he's a great guy. Moving on.
That's exactly what Ron said.
Are you fucking kidding? Come on. Really? Do you want, if you can find the clip, you should bring up that clip because that clip was like written by a PR.
The Don Cherry clip?
No, the Ron MacLean post comment.
Oh, for fuck's sakes, I gotta go look through another clip.
No, don't go look it up. It wasn't. But it was a PR. I just play placater drenched. It was a PR drenched fucking.
Well, no, it wasn't.
How much of that was was Sportsnet telling Ron to do it?
I don't care. I just think it's everything wrong with our culture. That's all I'm really saying. That's my big point.
But you're blaming Ron.
Everything that's wrong with our culture.
It is. We're placating the fucking assholes that get context wrong, and we're saying you're the masters, context butchers. You're like, it's so stupid. I fucking hate it. It's the cause of all my stress. Honestly,
you're not wrong, James. But I don't think it's Ron's fault that he's caught up in the middle of it, and he went out of his way to maintain his position with the company. He kept his job. If Don had apologized the way Sportsnet wanted him to apologize, he'd still be on the air.
But the reason why people like Don Cherry is because he's the kind of person not to bow down to something he doesn't mean.
I've thought about that.
You know, he wouldn't have meant it. He wouldn't have meant it. He wouldn't have meant it. Who cares if he does it?
I've thought about that, and what I think is that to some extent, both of you are wrong, and I'll explain why real quick, and then I'll let you guys go. Is because I'm honestly so tired of having because of the Ron MacLean conversation, the Don Cherry conversation. Every time we talk about Don Cherry, we talk about Ron MacLean being a turncoat and all that other stuff, right? When people every weekend, when Don, and he does every weekend, he trends every weekend. He trends, and no one will have said anything about Don Cherry. No one would have talked about Don Cherry. There would not have been an incident with Don Cherry. Don wouldn't even have to drop a podcast for himself to trend every weekend because there's a segment of society that is still so mad that Don's not on the radio. And I bet you can actually boil it down with each one of them, that it almost has nothing to do with the fact that they love what Don Cherry talks about. Because if you've watched Coach's Corner for 2-3 years prior to his firing, it wasn't super entertaining. You didn't learn a ton.
No,
right?
Yeah, he was losing his step.
Big time. So I want everybody to factor that trending in. Every weekend when people are trending, they're doing one of two things. They're using it to get angry at the fact that Don's just not on TV anymore. And it is a real inconvenience for them.
The pedestal of the overly correct, politically correct society, and they've
it's that group. It's the I can't wait for Saturday at like 9 when I'm going to tweet out this killer zinger that says just another Saturday where I'm masturbating knowing that Don Cherry's not on my TV because he hates the gays. Blah 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 blah. It's like they set their fucking tone. It's like a thing. They're like, "Ooh, I can't wait to just shit on Don Cherry for another week. This is 2 straight years now, and I love doing that on my Saturday night." That's literally how dumb people are and mean people are. It's like every weekend there's an excuse. If some woke dickhead happens to like go past a Boston Pizza and see the TV on, they're like, "Oh yeah, hockey game. That reminds me. I haven't sewered Don Cherry for something he said 2 years ago this week, so I better get on it. That's all. That's why. And so we always go back and have this conversation because Don's just like a prop now, right? For people, a prop for people that are pissed that he's not on TV, and a prop for people that are super happy he's not on TV. That's it.
Okay, but can I say something to that? The woke people that you just so brilliantly impersonated, and I actually mean that, are the reason that these apologies exist. You're apologizing to those exact people because of those exact people,
and they're never going to be happy with it.
Like, do you want to do fucking apologizing to have like common sense? Like,
I don't disagree.
All the corporations and networks need to fucking just sit down and have one of those agreements. You know, like the gas companies do with prices. They need to fucking sit down and have agreements that say, let's stop doing this shit. Let's stop apologizing because
if it's an unnecessary apology, then let's stop doing it. Do me a favor.
The audience
let me know when that happens. Send me a note.
Right. Well, I will, because I think it's the smart move. I think that's what comedians do. And I know there's all these attached brands and sponsors and everything, but like it'll be a trickle down phenomenon because it can't last. Like this is not sustainable. Like think about the ridiculous amount of money that is spent crafting stupid apologies like that. Like it doesn't make any sense.
A thing, though.
So I don't think it's a stupid apology.
It's not a new thing.
Yeah, you don't like it because
forever.
You don't like it because you are literally the only person I know that just hates apologies.
No, I don't. This is why I don't like it. I don't like it because he meant the rum.
You're right too. I mean, it's a joke, but you're correct. He meant the rum, so there's no need to apologize if he meant the rum. Nothing to apologize for. It was
absolutely nothing. I apologize for your alternative reality. I apologize for your alternative reality where something was said that you took completely backwards. Really sorry. Like, fuck off. Like, just.
So doesn't that kind of mean that he did mean it?
No, he meant the rum. That's it.
Yeah, but if he followed with the explanation, forget it.
He apologized because of that woke person you made fun of just seconds ago. That's why he apologized.
I don't care anymore.
Stupid. I have but it's hard to respect. I don't know if he was told, hey, you're fired if you don't give this sniveling apology, then I guess so. Sure, give the sniveling apology. But if he had the choice and gave the sniveling apology, I don't like that.
I think they sat down as a group and discussed the pros and cons, what to do. And I think I think Ron made a mistake. I think he realized his mistake immediately. You could see it on his fucking face.
He didn't make a mistake.
You could see it on the panel's face.
Dude, he meant the rum.
I think he realized where it could have gone wrong.
Imagine he meant AIDS. Then he should do the 400-word apology. Look, I meant AIDS. I shouldn't have said it because you shouldn't joke about AIDS, and I totally meant AIDS, and I'm really sorry. That's when you give that apology.
No, then you apologize to Kevin Bieksa.
No, look at the apology. It's all about AIDS. That's if you look at that apology through the AIDS.
Yeah, but then that would mean he's insinuating that Kevin Bieksa had AIDS. That's what he's saying. Like he tested positive for AIDS.
That's the joke.
That's
the fucking.
Can you imagine if that
and
was
it was Mount
apology?
Gay Rum? It was Mount Gay Rum. I bet you it was the best joke ever because it was probably Mount Gay Rum and he meant AIDS. And it's really politically incorrect, but fuck it. But he just happened to do it on air. Then you give a 400-word apology where you mention the LGBTQ2A plus what, and you do all that. And
I think he's saying what James is saying is that, like, it's, from my understanding anyway, is that apology was the kind of apology you'd expect if someone did mean AIDS.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah. Imagine the AIDS apology. It would be like a documentary film. It would be fucking crazy. Think of the shout outs and the associate producer credits and that fucking thing. It'd be nuts.
Yeah.
That was productive.
Guys, I'm just happy that James figured that all out for us right there. That was great at the end.
All right.
Thanks, boys. Yeah. Appreciate it. James D. Fiore.
Next time, do that off the top, please.
Blackball Media. Yeah. Save ourselves the time. Blackballmedia.ca is where you can find Jamesy. Blackballmedia.ca. James D. Fiore at James D. Fiore on Twitter. Thanks, buddy. Also, across.
Thanks, Dean.
Anytime, 95.7 Cruise FM in Edmonton is where you can find him as well. See you, buddy. You're already gone. You're already locked out. You're locked. Yeah, there you go. He's finished. That's it. Have a great day. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being part of the podcast. Don't forget, you can get us at wherever you get your fine podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube. Dean Blundell Show on YouTube, Twitch as well. Sign up and follow us on Twitch, the old subscribe button. It's Dean Blundell or D Blundell Net on Twitter, where you can see our playoff pricks show tonight. Leafs Habs, 7:30 at home. Pumped for it too. It's gonna be fun. At least to win 4-2 tonight. 4-2. Don't hate the player, hate the game. Thanks to our sponsors over at Black Rose Organics, blackroseorganics.com. Right now, you can get yourself a medical license from Black Rose Organics by going to shop.blackroseorganics.com. And then you can also get shopping as fast as you can for 30% THC. Garlic sherbet, their strain is unbelievable. And they've got a couple of other strains, too, that are all handcrafted, hand-grown, craft plus cannabis. Go to Black Rose Organics website today, shop.blackroseorganics.com, and get their medical membership. Then you'll get half-price ounces for the rest of your membership. It's not a bad deal at all, as a matter of fact. It's a great deal. Shop.blackroseorganics.com. Domination.com. It's where we fix all of our stuff. If you're in production, you produce content, whether it's commercials, whether it's promos, whether it's quick clips, sound bites, microdata, whatever the situation is, use Domination, DMNTN.com. Again, Domination is DMNTN.com. It's AI for people that produce content, and it takes a fraction of the time for you to do it, and you can try it for free, and then you can sign up. DMNTN.com. Check them out today, domination.com. Ed's Fine Imports, his promo code GITCH3 is your promo code to an extra free pair of men's underwear. Luxury boxer briefs with a pouch in the front. Super soft, no piling. You'll love them. Ed's Fine Imports, GITCH3, your promo code for his luxury underwear. Order your pair today. They got clothing for men and boys over there as well. And a very big thank you to our friends at EasyAutoFinancial.ca. EasyAutoFinancial.ca is where you go if you need some financing for a vehicle and you can't, hard to find one. Someone's going to charge you through the ass for it. You don't want to do that. No, you don't. You want someone to walk you through the process. You know the car that you want. You want to tell them the car what you want. You want to tell them what you want to pay for financing, and then you want to let them go out and find all that for you. That's what EasyAutoFinancial.ca does. Everything from your financing for free to setting you up with the dealer that has your car. They're wonderful people, and they want to help you buy a vehicle. So go to EasyAutoFinancial.ca today and sign up for that, if you please. And hi and thanks to our friends at Blue Microphones, the official microphone and audiophile equipment sponsor for DeanBlundell.com and all 65 of our podcasts, including Sound Off Media. We've got all your podcasts, and they give us all the equipment for our podcasts, including these MoFi headphones. They do everything for gaming. They've got all kinds of cameras from Logitech, or Logitech group of companies. They've got different level cameras as well, and they've got the USB XLR mics for streaming, gaming, podcasting, recording, and much, much more. Part of the Blue family and the Blue crew, DeanBlundell.com. Go to BlueMic.com for more details, or Blue Microphones on Twitter, at Blue Microphones on Twitter for more details. Sign up for a newsletter at DeanBlundell.com as well. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being there. Thanks for everything. Oh, gotta go. Aaron told us before we started the show that coconut water tastes a lot like semen. I've never tasted semen.
I
never
I think it's false,
no.
Dean. I think
I've had it before. I don't have any desire to have it now. That's for sure.
Coconut water?
Yeah, because Pfeiffer came.
Yeah, can you be more specific?
Yeah, just
might want to narrow down
the just the coconut water. I'm good with the semen. It's weird.